won't you buy me a Mercedes Benz? My friends all drive Porsches, I must make amends. Worked hard all my lifetime, no help from my friends. So, Lord.
Recovering the seats on my car was one of the first major projects that I undertook after purchasing the car. It's been almost 2 years since then. The reason it's taken so long for me to put this video together is because it's sort of just a long and boring video. I have about 10 or 12 hours total time, and unfortunately one of my cameras died during the job, and so therefore you have mostly a backside view, and you're going to keep saying, geez, I wish this guy would get out of the way so I can see. It is what it is. I almost didn't make the video because of this. I have been encouraged to do so because the information is still there. It's still good. You won't want to watch this video for entertainment. It's not very entertaining. But if you want to recover your own seats, the information is there, and I encourage you to do so. It's not that difficult of a job. It does take some time and patience. I'm very happy with the results. I put electric heat in the seats while I was at it, and I love it. The heated seats are wonderful. I purchased my stuff from leatherseats.com. They did a wonderful job for me. It took about 6 weeks from the time I ordered to the time I received my covers, which is just about what they quoted me. And I'm very pleased with their service. So let's just dig in. Give me a fruitcake. Come here, you. You. Oh. Garage cat. Right? Right, fruitcake? You look. Garage cat. Stay off the car. What we have here is a standard seat out of a 1984 911 Carrera Targa. It just needs covers. It needs to be made like new again. It's a little bit worn. The seams are coming apart. The leather's wearing through in spots. It's just time for refresh, time for new cover. So what I did is I went online. I looked at a bunch of different Porsche forums, and there were a variety of vendors out there, and I chose leatherseats.com. I emailed them, spoke with them on the phone 2 or 3 times, sent them a couple of photographs of my seats so that we could make sure that we had the right style of cover. It took roughly 5 weeks to receive the covers, which is just about what they told me when I ordered. Each cover is custom made, and it takes just a little bit of time to receive them. So plan ahead. They were very good to deal with. Some gentleman by the name of Tim took good care of me, and hopefully we'll have some nice covers when we're done. This is what they look like. I ordered leather with vinyl on the backs. You can get 100% vinyl, 100% leather. You can get whatever you want. You can get colors to match, different stitching. You can get piping. You can get whatever you want. So this is what I wanted, and we'll take a stab at making the seats look new again. The very first thing that you need to do, obviously, is to disassemble your seat. So this seat is just the way it was pulled from the car. I still have the rails on the bottom, which is the first thing I'm going to remove. And I highly encourage you to take lots of photographs of everything as you disassemble your seats, so that hopefully you can get them back together again the same way. So I've already taken a lot of photos of this seat right now, the way it is right now, and as I disassemble I will take a lot more photos. And then if we need a reference when we go back together, we'll have something to look at. We'll start by pulling these rails, which I believe is a 5mm metric. After you have removed the 2 back end screws, flip your lever, slide it back. There's your front one. This one slides without the lever, and take the front ones out. And these rails should come right off in your hands. Be very careful that you keep your hardware straight. What you don't want to do is when you go back together is to try to figure out which nuts and which bolts went where and how and why. Take photos, get yourself a little pack of baggies. Put these nuts and bolts in a baggie, tape them or whatever to that, and you'll know where they go. Each step of the way you need to document with photos so that you can see how things fit, where they tie together, how they're hooked on. You need to be able to see this because you're never going to remember. Take lots of pictures. Pictures are cheap, and you will have the ability, hopefully, to get your seat back the way it was better than new. Pop this little thing off from inside here. Get your screwdriver in there, and that will pop right away. That has a little Loctite on it, so we'll be sure that when it goes back that we will put a little Loctite on it. And we will put all these into a baggie so that we know that they all go together. Along with these, I'm going to stuff that in there too. I think I can remember that, figure that out. Alright, let's flip this bird over very carefully because I still have cables connected. Let's see what we can do about disconnecting the cables. It's a release cable, goes right down under here. The release for the seat back I can't get at, so I'm going to start cutting some of these hog rings and peel back a little bit of the cover and see if that allows me to get at it. Just like that. And that peels back there. And now, lo and behold, we have access to our release cable right there. And just like that, the seat comes apart. And we now have two separate halves of your basic 911 seat to work on. And it looks pretty straightforward. Now I'm going to work my way around the outside edge, undoing these hooks, and just release this seat. This seam on both sides is actually tied down underneath to these hog rings. So we need to snip them. That one's already torn loose. And we have a little tie right here. here is our seat coming apart. And I know I've got those little stickers sticking in here, but I don't really care because I'm going to pull that off anyway. And there is a nasty old cover and a seat foam. But there's the bottom half. Good to go. Let's work on the top half. I'm going to start right here with these hooks. Pull that off. So use a little bit of brute force. Just like that. Then we have a couple of hog rings inside here. And on the back, as we peel this up, we have to snip these hog rings here on both sides to allow the back to peel up. Right there, right there. See what else we have. And there we have the top part. Okay, we now have our seat foam and our seat back all stripped out. We've done a quick test fit of the new cover. I've done a quick test fit of the heating pad that we're going to install. And what I need to do before I go any further is to peel this old cloth to the greatest extent that I can. I would say I'm not going to bother to try to get it all, but we'll get what we can get. Peel that off of there. And I have purchased some new batting at a local quilt shop that I'm going to, that's very thin, that's a blend, a mixed blend. They had a variety of different battings available and that's what I selected. And we're going to cover these areas with the new batting in an effort to reinforce them and keep them from deteriorating any further over the next 30 years. So I'm just going to kind of peel on this for a while, see what I can get. And then put the new batting. I'm going to use a spray adhesive to fasten this on. Now, in my new cover, I had purchased perforated center so that it can breathe. So when I use my spray adhesive, I want to keep it off the center section to the greatest extent possible. If I get a little bit, I'm sure it won't hurt, and in fact I intend to use just a little bit when it comes time to glue that in place. That has two little adhesive strips, but I'm going to just do a real quick spray, not too heavy because I do want it to be able to breathe through it, but I want this to stay in place. I don't want this to shuffle around and move. So we are going to use just a little bit of glue. So I'll get back to you when we have this cleaned up. And our batting, we're just going to cut it and fit it, do as neat a job as possible, and then we'll start to recover. At this point, we have the new batting on our side bolsters. I have attached the heating pad to the center piece of foam using the adhesive that was supplied on that pad. Such as right here. They have 2 adhesive strips down the back of the pad, and Pacific Restyling pad number whatever. I bought those from the leatherseats.com, the same place I bought the seat covers. I also bought the glue from the same place. That was what they recommended. I used just a little bit of glue in the middle to hold that in place, but I don't want to use a lot of glue because I want that foam to breathe through my perforations of my new seat cover. Now at this point, I seem to think that I'm ready to put on the new seat cover. I've given this about 20 minutes or so to dry for that glue to set up. I'm going to reuse the original factory, I don't even know what they call this stuff, but whatever it is, it helps the cover slide down over. I've seen online where people put a little shopping bag down over there so they can pull it down over. Well, I tried a test fit yesterday, it seemed to go alright, so I'm not going to go with the shopping bag. I'm going to stick with what the factory put there and we'll just reuse it. So here we go, let's see what happens. Now, just because I have it on there doesn't mean that we're all good. We have this little tie piece right here that has to be shoved down through here. In fact, I can probably pull this out right now to do this, but that can go right back in later without a problem. This has to go down through here and clip on to that piece of metal with my hog ring pliers, which I guess it's time we figured out. And my hog ring pliers I also purchased at leatherseats.com along with all the rest of my stuff. They make a kit, an installation kit, and I actually bought that kit. Let's flip it over, see if we can get at it. Just take your time on this. Pull nice and tight. This is what is going to make your seat fit and look good or not look good. And there is our very first hog ring attached right there. And I'll get a couple more. And I have 3 right there, which I suspect is going to be enough. And now, let's see if we can just kind of roll this down over. Now I'm going to try to roll little by little. I don't know how this is going to work. We're going to figure it out. It's the first time for me. But we'll figure it out. Pull down nice as you go. You want to stretch it to the extent you can. Now before we go too far, we have this tie down and this tie down. I don't know if tie down's a proper term, but anyways, that's what I'm going to call them. And we have to get those inserted down the sides and hog ring in place. Now I'm going to hog ring those very first one, and then I'm going to shove that foam back up in there. So let's see if we can get at them. There we go. Just kind of pull that up as you go. Alright, there's one on either side. Let's flip this over. Let's get that foam in there before I can't get it in there anymore. I think we'll be alright. Just like that. Now I have to work this down and tuck this in as we go down into this seam on both sides. And then hog ring it into place. Well, I'm going to fold it all the way and see what happens. Go all the way down with it and see what happens. I don't really know. We'll find out. If I have to, I'll roll it back up, do it again. Alright, you can see that we're starting to take shape. And this is all loose because I haven't tied that down in, so make sure that we get those. That's critical to this step. I'm going to put lots of hog rings down in the sides here because that will hopefully keep it from tearing loose as the years go by. I think I'm going to roll back just a little bit. I'm going to roll back about halfway. So that I can get at that a little better. I'm just kind of roll that up just like that. Alright, let's see what I can do here. Get that down in there. Like that. And that is going to fight me, but that's not unexpected. Roll that over for the time being. See if we can get this out through here. I can feel it there. Am I going to be able to get a hog ring on it? I don't see why I won't be able to. Get one loaded up. Alright, there's one. Come on, Alright. Alright. This here is what we need to fasten, and my having it rolled up doesn't make it easy, but it can be done. And we're going to do it. Okay, I think it's time. Got this straightened out. There. Little stretch. Little stretchy stretch. And let's put a few more. Alright, I think we've got that. That looks like it's just about the right length. This here I need to lead out. Driver's side, so it needs to go out on over here. And we're starting to take the shape of the seat. So far so good. So far so good. And before I go further, I am going to look at my photographs and make sure that I get this all tucked in the way it's supposed to. That little cable needs to come out. I'm going to have to poke a hole in there somewhere. I'll figure that out. This is going to hook. This is going to roll around. It's going to come out over like that. It's going to roll around and hook. And we're looking pretty good. So let me go review my photos before I close all that up, and we'll go from there. At this point, we have new batting on our side bolsters. We have our heating pad installed. Now, rather than feed the wire down through there, which might be the logical spot to put it, I decided to feed it out the front. I'm going to come out the front and go off to the side wherever is needed to hook into my other wire, but I didn't want it popping down through the middle of the seat, so I think this will be alright. I've done a test fit of our cover. Seemed to fit okay. I can see that it's going to be a bit of a struggle. We have to shove these down in through here. And hoggering them into place. This is going to be the worst of it. I can tell right away. but it's also perhaps the most critical part because that will hold the shape of your seat. So we have this kind of lined up there. That's where it should be. And it's just a matter of struggling as needed to make it happen. So let's do that. You're clipping, your hog ringing I should say, straight down through the foam. This is where the problem comes in. Try to locate that sucker straight down through the foam. So I've rolled it back, as you can see, we've rolled it back, and I'm just going to kind of shove it in there, tuck my hand in here, until I can get it up through there, just like that, and try not to hog ring my finger. Watch the finger, and I think I've got it. Yeah, I would say I've got it. Use a few extra hog rings. Don't skimp. Hog rings are cheap, and you don't want to have to pull it apart and redo your seat. So don't be afraid. And right there it will stay. And then we have the pleasure, the distinct pleasure, of doing the same thing on the other side. Now we'll get it again. Right to there. Get the foam out of the way. And clip. Just like that. Alright, let's see what kind of trouble I have on my back piece. Right there. Shove it down through there. This is why I didn't run the wire out through here, because I knew it would be a problem. I probably should have done this back piece first. That would have located everything, and I could have just rolled the rest of it back. So we'll roll it back in that manner. There's going to be an extra struggle for me, but I think we kind of have a system down at this point to where I can get it okay. Make a little hole, that to come up through, just like that. Get my hog ring plier loaded. pliers down in there and grab that critter. Right there. And let's clip it. Just like that. Squeeze. Alright. Just like that. One side. We're all tucked in down the sides, tucked in across. Hold that under, over, whatever you want to call it. Out like that. Put a little cut right there so that can go through. Just like that. Alright. One little tiny cut. Just like that. Here's my scissors. Might be easier. Come on down. There we go. Alright. Alright. That much is there. Let's sort of go like that. Just like that. Let's take a look and see if we really messed it up. So far so good. I think we're alright. And let's do a test fit so we can see just exactly what we're up to here. It's going to come around like that. These will come around here and actually go, I'm going to curl that way. Actually go underneath that like that. We'll go underneath that like that. Curl that out that way. So far it's looking good. This is where a little brute force and ignorance comes into play. We should get this gap should fit over that, and I'm a little too far forward. I'm going to stretch it. I'm going to stretch it towards the back. If I have to, I'll do a little snip. There's one. I'm not sure if I can get that one. There's two. Do a little cut right there that will slide on. I think, yeah, alright, we've made it. That will be good. Alright. I'll snip that out. We need that gone. So far so good. right there. Okay. So far so good. Let's continue on. And stretch that there, and hook it there, just like that. Stretch this here. Hook it there, just like that. And just hog ring this down into place. Stretch it as much as you reasonably can. Hog ring it. And then hog ring it again. And then we have the bottom of our seat. And we have the top of our seat. So far I'm liking it. Okay, what I need to do now is I need to cut some holes here for this. I need to cut a couple of holes here for these. And I need to feed my release wire. I need to cut a hole here somewhere. Need to locate it. Right there, I'd say. No, there it is, right there. For my release lever. So I'm going to go get a sharp knife, make that all easier, and we'll go from there. Okay, what I've done is I've cut two holes there and a little hole here for this cable to come through. That's my release. There's two bolts. This side I've cut one hole, that's a pivot. We'll feed that out and join it up with my other heating pad. I used a combination of just feeling for that hole and holding my old piece up against it in order to locate them. There's where the holes are, and that's where the holes need to be. So I've made them as small as I reasonably can. I just used a little sheetrock knife to do it with. And I'm going to bolt my seat together and see how it looks. So we will keep you posted. Alright. At this point, all I have left to do is put my rails back on. I'm not too worried about that. We have a complete seat. Recovered. I haven't set in it yet. We have the release all set. Back adjustment, it's all functional, just the way it should be. It's all bolted together. Oh, I need to tighten that screw up, I almost forgot. Job is done. I like the way it looks. I don't know about you. It's definite improvement over what I had before. And we're good for the next 30 years. So, leatherseats.com. I think, near as I can tell, they did a good job. And we're ready to roll.